All right, like, share, subscribe, Cash App, $ Winston Spivey. So let's talk about the Clippers here. All right, the so-called world-class organization with the squeaky clean owner Steve Ballmer, and let's see here, Andre Cherney, and this other guy Brian Sandberg. There's a couple of other guys too. Okay, that well, let's put it like this. And I made a video about this last week. They are in some deep doo-doo. Not to mention Kawai Leonard. That's a more household name for a lot of you guys that keep up with sports and all that. The star basketball for two-time champion. We can't deny that. They are being investigated by the NBA and actually the FBI. The FBI has put pressure for the NBA to investigate them through a law firm company, the same one that investigated Donald Sterling, about 10 years ago. Donald Sterling went to make those, those racial comments and things of that nature. But actually, he ended up making a fortune off of the Clippers because he bought it for $170 million and ended up turning it to $2.5 billion. So, if you guys didn't really know by now, Steve Ballmer, the owner of Microsoft, he's worth about $156 billion a year, the richest owner in the NBA. Had was named in getting a company called Aspire in 2021. Okay, concocting this and putting $50 billion in this company, right? And then, Kawhi Leonard through an LLC called KS2. All right, I don't know if he was affiliated with the LLC or not, but he ended up getting $28 million from this LLC, and then there's another allegation that he's got another $20 million from another LLC. Okay, but that's something I could speak on later about that extra money. Okay, but it's all extra money, like endorsements through like a third-party business to circumvent the NBA salary cap. Okay, I understand that they have the Brian Sandberg guy, the mover and the shaker with this company, had scammed investors out of $258 million. And I understand that this guy had agreed to some type of plea deal. Okay, but this is what Steve Ballmer and even Kawhi Leonard is facing with the three other investors. All right, that these guys are looking at bank fraud, wire fraud. They're looking at tax evasion because the company actually had filed bankruptcy like this past March. All right, March of 2025. Okay, for doing these things under the table. Okay, and unaccounted for money. So they're looking at these individuals looking at 15 to 20 years for this type of activity. Even Kawhi Leonard, he could be looking at bank fraud and then possibly tax evasion. Okay, that's if Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard is found guilty. Now, Steve Ballmer has denied any type of involvement in it, and what he did was he ended up buying the company, ended up getting 3%, and claimed that he, wasn't he wasn't liable or anything to that effect. Well, he was called out by Mark Cuban, the former Dallas owner, okay, that was stating on a podcast show that Steve Ballmer, well, he's not a dummy and he knows his stuff, okay? I think that he knows his money, okay? Number two, Mark Cuban, from reports that he was offered a chance to, invest into this company, but he said no, okay? Which I think that he ended up doing the right thing. So basically he blew the whistle on Steve Ballmer. So yeah, that's right. That these guys are in a lot of trouble. Now, what the team can end up doing is they have these stipulations and things like that to where they could seize all computers, cell phones, anything electronic to make the investigation through the NBA. They could also, once again, make Steve Ballmer sell the team. They could do a loss of draft picks for years, like 5 years or 10 years. What else they could do? They could also void Kawai Leonard's contract. So this is what Kawhi Leonard's actually looking at, on top of all the other stuff that they could be facing with the FBI. You know what I'm saying? Because see, what it does, it gives the league, the teams a unfair advantage with the Clippers and so forth, okay, with the salary cap, all right, the stacked teams and so forth, okay? And Steve Ballmer is not the only person doing this. I mentioned Jerry Jones was accused of doing something like this back in the 90s, paying extra bonus money, okay, that he wasn't supposed to pay. But there's a few guys that got caught up for this type of behavior. I understand there was another owner in the NBA as well, though, okay, that he's not in the NBA anymore. So I guess, that between the FBI and the NBA, that they're looking at integrity. But I had said last week that a lot of this was political, because this Cherney guy I was telling you about, R.J. Cherney, was coming out with some type of Project 2029 because of his involvement that he wanted to have in the Democratic Party, the Project 2029. And I think this was something to counter the Project 2025, okay, for the election. And what I think that happened was, then I believe that the FBI, possibly, I'll say allegedly, maybe even in Trump investigation, pulled this file, because all these guys got a file. They pulled the file on these guys, okay? So there you have it. But it's going to be interesting to see how this thing is going to turn out, I pray that this is not true, I really do. Particularly for Kawhi Leonard. I think that he's got still a lot left in the tank. So this is serious. So let me know what you think, all right? Appreciate your time. Cash App, $, Winston Spivey, if you want to donate, and like, share, subscribe.